What brings you joy? And can you have or develop friendships that are authentic and that make you feel like you're the real you? So even if you read a book and you're a book group, are you allowed to say what you really think, or is it just kind of surfacey?
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Citizen Spotlight. I'm Pam Jones. I'm here with Barbara Cox. Barbara is a life coach, which is not something I have much experience with. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, Pam. Life coaching is a relatively new field. I've been a social worker for 20 years, so I've been in the business of helping people for a long time. And life coaching is really looking towards the future. What would you like to see happen? What are your dreams? Have you forgotten your dreams? Have they maybe fallen by the wayside, or are there barriers and obstacles in your way?
Now, how did you go from being a social worker to a life coach? What made you make the change?
I took a life coaching workshop at a social work conference, and I absolutely loved the questions and the tools that I learned that day and incorporated them into my social work. I was laid off and was soul searching. What do I want to do with my life?
Coaching yourself. And
Exactly.
This is what you came up with?
Yes.
Well, now, in order to be a life coach, is there education or certification that you do?
Yes, I've been participating in a life coach training program with Martha Beck Incorporated. There is an organization called the International Coaches Federation for certification, and it's a fairly new field, so it's mostly unregulated at this point.
Okay. Now, what do you think is your biggest skill as being a life coach? What do you bring the most?
I'm really good at listening, and life coaching has also taught me how to ask really penetrating questions. And it's up to you if you want to answer that question. But if we're looking to overcome some barriers and obstacles to achieving your dreams, then it's worth at least considering some tough questions.
Okay, so what is it the kind of, like, if I were going to come to a session, what would we do?
I would ask you, where is your area of least satisfaction in your life right now?
Now, does everybody know that answer, or do you have to sometimes dig around a little bit?
We can definitely dig around a little bit. Some people say, oh, my work is driving me crazy, or we've got the holidays coming up and I have a stressful family situation, so we can...
A little easier to pinpoint. Now, do you find that people, do they know what their problem is, or they come in and they say, this is my most stressful thing, and then as you're talking to them, you realize that maybe that's not what it is?
Absolutely. There could be a few other things behind the scenes that are going on, so we can take a look at all of those.
Now, are you a psychologist?
Licensed social worker. Okay,
and now what happens if you've got someone who comes to you thinking that they need life coaching, but it turns out maybe they really have something else going on? How do you help them?
Sure. I ask people before I meet with them whether they're in counseling right now, so that I can have a sense on, are they working on some other issues at the same time as coming for life coaching, to determine together if life coaching is appropriate at this time. If you are very depressed and have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning, then counseling might be of better assistance to you at the beginning.
At the beginning, and then go into life coaching. All right, so I come to a session and you have said to me, what's the biggest challenge in your life right now? Mm-hmm. So, and we've discussed it, and let's say for me it is my biggest challenge really is staying organized and staying on task. I find myself starting one thing and then moving on to another. My husband says I have that ADO shiny. I'm constantly making piles. So what kinds of things would you tell me to do?
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a toolbox of different life coaching techniques to try and see what resonates within you. Mm-hmm. And one of my goals, although it should be all your goals, but one of my hopes is that we can help you to feel like you're being true to yourself. Mm-hmm. Where is your authentic self? So are you busy with lots of things that you really truly love and that are benefiting you in your life and your family? Or are you doing things to please other people and you're kind of just running around and feeling frustrated, exhausted? I'm not saying this is the case with you, but
all of a sudden, I know, and I know what you're saying, because I was just thinking about this myself, that I've joined some clubs, I do some volunteer work, and some of the things I may have joined for the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. So how do you help people let go of what they don't need?
That's a great question. Thank you. Obviously, most people feel today like I can't just do everything I want in my life. That might not feel possible right now. But where do you find the joy in the activities that you do? And how can you feel like you're really focusing on those activities to the most extent possible? Now, you're probably going to have to do laundry and...
Oh, yeah. And all that. Now, do you have... Now, for your clients, are you finding that are mostly women coming in or men, or is it a mixture?
So far, mostly women, but men absolutely benefit from life coaching. There are some areas of specialty, for example, executive coaching, business coaching, health coaching, financial coaching, wellness coaching. So that could be of different interest to different types of people.
Now, do you find with some of the women, because you're now making me think about my life and all my things, that they come in and they've got all these things that they're doing, and then you realize that they shouldn't be doing any of them. They're really just... They're doing everything for other people and not for themselves. How do they figure out what it is that they want to do? Is it just a series of questions? What do you do?
Yeah, looking towards your true authentic self is sometimes difficult because many people feel like they've been conditioned in society to fulfill certain roles. So I'm a homemaker, I'm a busy professional, I'm a multitasker, I'm a full-time volunteer. And saying no can be very difficult. It can feel selfish to some people. So talking about how do I create this life without feeling guilty about saying no? And are you really truly obligated to do this role? Is it true that you're only useful if you're volunteering in 10 different groups?
Right. And I do have to remind myself sometimes that nothing's going to fall apart if I don't do what I'm doing. It's not brain surgery. No one's going to die. So somebody comes to a session and you have this conversation, and is there homework? What do you do afterwards?
There's definitely homework with me. Maybe not every coach would give a homework assignment, but I would invite you to share, how would you like to be accountable to this? Do you have a tiny little turtle step that you'd like to move towards something? You don't have to change the world by next week, but for our next meeting, would you like to have done X, Y, Z? And I'm not going to yell at you or make you feel embarrassed or belittled or anything like that, but is there something that you'd like to be accountable in doing, or even noticing? People hate me if I say no, like we had said before, so is that really true? Did you try to say no and they didn't hate you one time? And it was okay.
And you're probably right, because it is. I had a year of no. One time I decided that my life had gotten out of control, and I put a sign up on my wall, and I said, this is your year of no, and I had to say no to everything, and it was really hard, but it helped. Now I think maybe I need another one. I've been going through for a while. Do you find you have to be kind of strict with some people? If they've been coming for a while and they're not making progress, that you have to say, no, look, really, you gotta tighten the belt and do it?
I feel like if you're choosing to not take action, there's a reason for that choice, and I'd like to understand, maybe it's not the right homework assignment for you. Maybe there's something else that we haven't gone into yet. And ultimately, it's your life. So I want very much for you to feel fulfilled and satisfied. But if you choose to not do the homework assignment, then let's explore, is life coaching helping you? Why do you want to keep coming?
Well, that's a good point. Now, do you have like an ideal, well, that's probably not the good word, but someone who's a particularly good candidate, a good client for you?
Most people who come to life coaching are really looking for something better towards the future. So it doesn't matter if you feel like you have 1,000 obstacles and you can't really ever get to where you want to go. We can go just little step by little step and examine those things. If you just feel that your life has been so horrible that there's no hope for a better future, let's talk about that. But are you willing to dream together and to maybe set a few goals together and do some homework assignments together? But sometimes people just want to say about their sorrow and the trauma from the past, and sometimes counseling is a better venue for that, for healing from the past.
Now, do you find people come into life coaching and then discover things about themselves that they didn't know, or are you just reintroducing them to things that they knew? You know, it's kind of like when you learn something, you think, oh, that makes perfect sense. I should have known that all along.
Well, don't judge yourself. Like, I should have known. Because again, it's what have we been conditioned to believe by our society, and what I should do this, what's the right thing. but what did you love to do when you were a kid? And maybe one example is I used to want to be an astronaut until I learned that there's a lot of math actually involved with piloting a spacecraft. So I said, well, I'm not so good at math, but can I go stargazing and feel so connected to the universe and the planet? And that makes me so happy, and I don't need to be an astronaut to feel that peace of looking into the heavens. Yeah.
Thinking about things that I might want to work on and things, one of the things that has been coming up over and over again with some of my friends is we're coming out of our children being very needy. Our, you know, my youngest is in high school now, and a lot of my friends are in the same sort of thing. How do people get back into society? I realize I don't really have that many friends who aren't, you know, parents of my kids. Is that the kind of thing you talk about in life coaching?
Again, to me, it sounds like what you're saying is authenticity. Where's the real me in here? You've been a mom, which not to say that that's not real. I don't mean it that way, but who am I without?
It's not the only
me. Without
yes.
being so-and-so's mom driving around to sports games or whatever. What brings you joy? And can you have or develop friendships that are authentic and that make you feel like you're the real you? So even if you read a book and you're a book group, are you allowed to say what you really think, or is it just kind of surfacing and you have an expectation of, well, I'm supposed to say this about this book or something like that?
Oh, we were just talking about this. You know, I moved up here from the South, and one of the things I was saying to my book group is that I have a very hard time telling people that I didn't like a book that they picked because it just seems so rude. So, but you probably, this sounds good. It sounds like I might be a good benefit from this. Maybe I'll have to give you a call. Now, typically somebody comes to you. How many sessions does it take, or is it something you can standardize on that?
We can put together a package. I can invite folks to say, how about 5? Do you feel like let's try a bunch of different tools and then reassess, see how things are going? There's not a set number that I could say, oh, you're going to need 10 sessions for sure, or something like that. But you could do life coaching for several months if you say, well, I have this family situation with the holidays. Can we work on this? And come the new year, well, I've been feeling terrible about, you know, my spending, and I think I'm just shopping for emotional reasons, or my kids are going to be going to college, and how can I readjust in my world? So.
Okay, well, what kinds of, speaking of shopping for emotional things, what kinds of tools do you give people for that? What would you suggest?
Well, one of the questions that I like to ask is, where do you feel at peace? Is there anywhere that you do feel at peace? Do you feel at peace in your home? Do you feel at peace when you're walking your dog, or just as an example, or with animals? Do you have a lot of chaos that's going on that you're just kind of running around? I'm not a wellness or a dietitian or anything like that, a wellness coach, but some people eat emotionally also. So do you have a sense of joy or peace in any place or activity? And then let's build from there and talk about that.
Try to substitute different actions. That sounds like that's the kind of thing I need to think about. My daughter's gotten very into yoga, and she finds that very centering. And I've been thinking about, when I feel out of control, just sitting still sometimes helps. What is, for the people out here watching, what's the kind of thing that you think they should be doing if they're thinking, okay, I think I could use some help in my life, and maybe I'm ready to see a life coach, or maybe not. So what are some questions they can ask themselves?
Absolutely. Most life coaches, including myself, offer free 30 minutes on the telephone.
Oh, okay.
Let's chat. Let's see if this could be a good match. The potential client is welcome to say, no, I don't really like your style, or the life coach might, like you had said, is counseling appropriate for this person, or are they not interested at this time to make the time. But consider it an interview of what's this person's philosophy. And you can't fit everything into a half an hour, but maybe you could talk about a couple of questions or concerns.
Ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, I don't want to hurt anybody's privacy, but can you give us any examples of a success that you've had?
Sure. There's lots of examples out there, but like you said, just as a generic example that I think might be applicable to a number of people, Have you ever had a situation where during your kids' summer vacations you've got lots of different opportunities? Some family wants to spend time with you, maybe you want to spend some time with friends, you might want to travel a little bit, so you're trying to juggle summer camp, activities,
Yes.
work, everything like that. So I spoke with someone who said, I've got all these different options, but nothing's coming together, it's not gelling. Everyone said, well, we got to wait about this, we got to figure out about this, we're changing our plans, and the person felt just frustrated and stressed out that we got to line this up. Summer camp, needs the registrations and things. So we talked about advocating for yourself. Mm-hmm. Does it mean that you're a pushy person if you say, this is what my family needs?
Right. These are our dates, and can you
instead of deferring to everyone else and trying to juggle and feeling stressed out and confused and
did it work?
Yes.
See, and I think sometimes people just need permission to be a little bit more assertive. I find that all the time when you're, I have no problem being assertive, but I do know with other people that even just deciding where to have dinner, sometimes everybody's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And then nobody can make any decisions. So you're abdicating to peacefully and nicely give your opinion. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably, a lot of people probably need permission to do that. Okay, well, what else? What should we talk about?
Well, I like to mention that part of life coaching is also tuning into your body, which you had referenced before, but just not in those exact words about I should have known this before. Uh-huh. So not to judge yourself, but sometimes we get signals just within ourselves and we don't listen to them. And we kind of push them aside. Say, I need to do this. I got to do this. I can't listen to myself.
So you're helping teach people to listen to themselves. Yeah. Well, it sounds like a really great job to do. Do you find yourself just happy to get out of bed every day and do it? Do you like this better than the social work, or is it just a natural extension?
I found that for myself as a social worker, I was more involved with broader community and educational tasks. I haven't been a therapist for all of these years, so it wasn't as big of a transition because I've always enjoyed talking with people about the future and overcoming barriers. So it feels like a natural progression to me.
I think that would be nice. And sometimes it's hard when you're helping a big group to remind yourself what all you're doing. And if you're helping somebody and you can see the progress that they're making, that must be very satisfying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Barbara, thank you for talking to us here at Citizen Spotlight. We've had such a wonderful time with you here, and I really appreciate it. And thanks for joining us and educating us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
This program was made possible through the generous support of your Medfield friends and neighbors, folks just like you. And thanks for watching.